Okay, so good morning, everybody. This is the last session of the UC3M Ticket to Open Science for the PhD students. You are very welcome here, and let me also welcome our speaker today. She's Teresa Malo de Molina, that probably you know her name, and you have seen her in the university library because she's the head librarian, and she's one of the most supportive persons in the whole ecosystem of the Carlos III Open Science. That she will help you, and she will tell you how we are creating a university open science unit to help the students, to help you all over your research process that you are studying now, but probably it will last for the next 5 years until you finish your PhD and beyond. So don't want to just take more time, because I think what Teresa has to share with you today is super practical, super interesting. I will be here, and as I try to do in the Open Science Cafes, I will just try to enrich the conversation, or if I can, solve any doubts on the go. And also, if you have any questions about the post that you have to do for the evaluation of the course, you can write in the group on the Aula Global, or you can write to Tony or to me straight away. You have any problem not accessing the blog. And I hope that we can have a discussion over more or less the next week. We don't have established yet a deadline for the contribution, but let's have at least just another week to discuss over the blog for the content of the course, the content of the Open Science Cafe, your insights and everything. Okay, so Teresa, the floor is yours. Well, the screen is yours. Thank you very much for having this session, and welcome everybody.
Thank you, Eva. Welcome, everybody. Thank you, Eva, because you are a very, very important point of our university to support the open science. Without you, everything is going to be very difficult for us. And as you say, the library is always trying to work in this line, and I hope to show you how we can help you with all these issues. As Eva says, I am the head librarian, and as I suppose you know, we are 5 different points of services, 2 in Getafe, 1 in Leganés, 1 in Colmenarejo, and 1 in Puerta de Toledo, but we try to give you the same service in any point. I would like to show you how the UC3Ms will help you to be an open scientist. This is our ticket to open science for today, and we are going to start. We are going to have an hour and a half, and I would like to receive any question of you. I have to say that in this way I only see my own presentation, so if you want to speak, please switch on your sound and speak to me directly, and don't worry about if you cut my talk. Here we are going to speak in very different subjects regarding the open science. The first of it is about authorship and affiliation and the persistent identifier, and we are going to see why this is very important for you and for us. Then I will show you very, very briefly our guide for to support you in your thesis, step by step. Then we are going to see how easy it is to publish in open access, and everything about the dissemination of research outcomes in one line, that is the regional research portal of the Consorcio Madroño. Consorcio Madroño is our regional consortium of libraries, and it's and we have there some tools very interesting for you. Then we can show the blog for investigation for research and library, and then we are going to know how we are trying in the library in the UC3M to push down to push up the open science through different units and projects. Well, the first of all is authorship and affiliation. This could be something very simple to think that is very useful. It's very simple. You are going to use your name, and this is no problem. But when you began your career and you go on some years and years, perhaps you can use different types of your name, especially in our case, in the Spanish case, that we have 2 different surnames, and some people use one of them or both of them, or sometimes one and sometimes both. Well, the only important thing that you have to think that it's absolutely necessary to use only a unique form of your name, always the same. If you decide to use the name and the surname, okay, you use it every time. But if you want to use the 2 surname, there's no problem, but you have to use it every time. And in this line, it's very useful that you use a unique identifier. In our case, we use ORCID, and we are going to see why. But this is very interesting because this is like a DNA of your own, like a researcher. It's an only code for you, and it's a very unique way to identify you like research. And there is another thing that is very important for us, for the university, that you have to include in your official name the official name of the university. You have to always to include the affiliation and to put the name well of the university. You can say, well, where you say something very simple. I know exactly how the university is named, but we have seen everything. We have seen something like Charles III University of Madrid and things like that. And you have to think that there are only 2 ways to name our university. The real name, that is Universidad Carlos III de Madrid, and which is the preferred way to name it. And the other is the English version, that is only Carlos III University of Madrid. And if you want to put the name of the department or institute of research group in your affiliation, there is no problem, but you need to put the name of the university too. You have here an example about the Department of Economy, or Economics department in the university, and you can see that in Spanish will be Universidad Carlos III de Madrid, Departamento de Economía, and in English must be Carlos III University of Madrid, Economics Department. You have another possibility, that is include the unique identifier of the university in a special classification or codification, that is the International Standard Name Identifier. And this is the identifier of the UC3M, and you can use it in the affiliation. For us, it's very important that you include always a good way, the good way to show the affiliation at the university. Why? Because when every organization, every ranking, every people asks for you in the main index of scientific publication, is going to ask in the official name of the university. They are not going to ask for different ways to name the university. They are only going to ask for one way. So it is very important for us, because if you don't put the affiliation in a good way, the information of your production is not going to be recollected when they are asking for the university. This is very, very important for us. There is a special project that could be something very useful for you, that is credit contributor roles taxonomy. That is a high-level taxonomy that includes 14 roles. and you can use it, these different roles, trying to explain exactly what is your contribution for any publication or any research project or any research outcome. This is the 14 contributor roles that is very, very detailed, from conceptualization to software supervision, writing, methodology, funding acquisition, everything. And there is a special APP that is named Tenzing. This name is the name of the Sherpa that goes the first to the top of the Everest. That is usually unknown because we only use the name of the English people that is going with him. And this is a special APP that helps you how to create your information about your role as contribution. And it's very useful. You can see it, and you can see here how much, more or less, how you can use it and what are the benefits of using it. But the UC3M has decided that we have to use a unique persistent identification, that is in this case ORCID. ORCID, the university has created the ORCID for all researchers to ensure their correct affiliation. In your case, it depends on your role in the university. If you have a contract like PDI, like research and teaching staff, you are going to have it. And if you don't have this type of contract, perhaps you don't have it by this moment, but you can create your own ORCID by yourself. The ORCID has been included in our main tool for the information and management of research information, that is Universitas 21, Research, and in our institutional repository that is named eArchivo. We usually made some dissemination campaigns trying to show you what is the utility of using it. The main question of this is that if you use ORCID, you have had a unique code that identifies you like a researcher, and at the same time, if you do it very correctly, or if you are using the ORCID that the university has created for you, the affiliation is completely correct. And this is very, very, very useful for us. I would like to show you this, that it could be something very useful for you. That is a guide that the university, the library has created in collaboration with the PDH school, and this is a guide trying to help you to make your thesis step by step. Here are the main content of this guide. You have a special place about academic integrity, trying to avoid plagiarism and telling what is the academic honesty. There is another part that shows you how to follow the PhD program rules and regulation in the UC3M. There is another very important for us, that is exploring sources, that helps you how to find accurate information resources for your thesis, depends on the subject that you are working. There are another important place about citing, that helps you how to choose a reference style and how to use it. There is another part about how to write your thesis using academic paper format, structure, and style. And the last one is how to support you in the defending of your thesis, trying to convert your thesis into an effective presentation. Obviously, this guide contains recommendations from the library that has been created in collaboration with the staff of the PhD department or a school of the university, but you should always follow, obviously, the guidelines of your thesis director. Well, we are going to speak about how to publish in open access your thesis and publication, and why you have to do it. There is, in Spain, there is a special law that is the Royal Decree 99 that was published in 2011. When you can see, there are two special articles that are in Spanish, but I try to explain you in English. The first one says that when you have you have your thesis approved, the university is going to charge or to preserve your archive in an electronic format, that must be open, and it must be deposited in an institutional repository. So you have to think that in our country, it is the law that you must to publish your thesis in an open way, and especially in an institutional repository. So all the thesis that is presented at or is in our university, they must to be in our institutional repository, that is eArchivo, that's as I told you before. As I said you before. Sometimes in very special circumstances, the academic commission of the program could make some exception, especially if there is some information about other people, third people, like enterprises or things in order of confidentiality information. And in this case, the university has to assure that this type of information is going to be published. And perhaps, this is the law. You must to publish it in an open way, but only in case that you have some confidential information inside of your thesis that depends on third parts like enterprises and things like that. You can not to publish in open way, in open access. But sometimes, in other times, you can have some type of embargo, so of publishing your thesis. What is the embargo? Embargo is a period of time that you mark or you ask for in order to publish thesis, for example, with a certificator or something like that, and you ask for us, telling us that you prefer to publish your thesis the next year, not this year, but the next year. This is a embargoes period. We are going to register your thesis in our institutional repository, but we have put in it that it's only going to be in open access till the next year. This is more or less the idea. Where you can publish your thesis? Well, you can publish your thesis in our institutional repository that is called eArchivo, and try to file and preserve the intellectual production resulting from the academic and research activity of our university. And we try to offer always the open access to those documents. You can see in our institutional repository all type of documents. You can see theses, articles, books, chapters, reports, conference proceedings, datasets, preprints, working papers, everything. And they are organized in different collections. That are some of them are special collection and other are subject collections. If you are a faculty member and you want to publish any document in our institutional repository, you can consult the self-archive guide, and you can contact our eArchivo administration team. In this, you have the two URL to contact them. what is useful to publish something in our institutional repository, because all the architecture of the open access information is based in a special protocol that is called OAIPMH protocol, that allows that any type of open archive could be connected and could be or could work together in a very easy way. In this line, there are two types of repository. One is a repository itself, and the other types are aggregators. What is an aggregator? An aggregator is a repository that collects the metadata of different repositories that have any relation between them, and to show in a collect manner. In this line, for example, if you publish anything in eArchivo, that is our institutional repository, in an automatic way, this information is going to include in an aggregator that is the e-Ciencia, that is the aggregator of the Madrid region, and in the same way, it's going to be part of the national aggregator, that the name is Recollecta, and the European Union aggregator, that is OpenAir. So if you publish anything in eArchivo, it's going to be in OpenAir without doing anything more. And it's something very useful for you and for the science in general. What is the difference between an aggregator and a repository? When you ask for something in e-Ciencia, when you reach to a register, you can get all the metadata of this information, but when you want to go to the full text, you must click to the URL that is going to send you to the institutional repository where the full text has been deposited. And it's very, very useful for you, because everything is in an automatic way, and everything you can publish in eArchivo is going to be published in eCiencia, Recollecta, and OpenAire. Well, why it could be something interesting to send my publication or to deposit my publication in eArchivo? Because this is the main requirement of the by the public funding agency when they ask you to publish in an open access way. In this line, your publication is going to be easily findable from any general search engine, for example, Google Scholar. Your publication will be more visible and accessible, obviously, and for that you are going to be more cited, and the scientific production will be gathered in only or in a single platform and will be preserved for the future. And you have to think that open access is compatible with publication in scientific journals, because you can put or send to the institutional repository different version of your publication, for example, the preprint or the postprint. In our case, every information about research activity has to be registered in our CRIS, that is our current research information system, that is Universitas 21 Research. The idea is there is a special module in this system that is called IAI, where you have to load your information about your research activities. In the case of publication, you can include the full text and accept the licenses. And in this case, we receive in the library a notice that the new publication, we have a new publication to review. What library does is, first of all, validate the publication and blocks its modification. In the line that we have a bibliographic verifier every publication that is in this platform. And then the library activates the publication in eArchivo. The publication in eArchivo it can't be completely automatically, because it depends on the different license that has the original publication. So we have to know exactly if we can publish this full text. So we have to ask you about the postprint or the preprint. Well, I have to say you that the preprint is the first version of the article that you send to the journal. The postprint is the second version of the article, when you have put in it every modification and suggestion that you have received in the peer review process. And the editor version is you have to think that is the final version of your article in your in the journal. Usually the scientific editor used not to allow to public in open access anything, the editor version, but most of them allows you to publish the preprint, and a lot of them allow you to publish the postprint. When the information in eArchivo is complete, eArchivo send the URI, that is the Uniform Resource Identifier, to the module of Universitas 21. So in this moment, you have a permanent link for your publication in our institutional repository. Why is important to record research activities in this module, in this platform that we call Universitas 21? Because we collect any research activities in a single system, that is our CRIS. When you put the data there once, you can be reused it in our institutional repository and other places. All the information that the UC3M research memory use is based in this platform, and the data will be authentic and reliable because they have been reviewed by the library staff, and you can generate different formats for your curriculum that could be useful for different organizations. I am hearing that perhaps there are some questions in the.
No, Teresa, it was me that I was putting the information about your slides. They want to follow
okay.
in the there. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
There is something important. I will just stop you. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Well, this is a little way how you can make the self-archive in eArchivo. As you can see, we always ask you to work in Universitas 21 research portal, because it's the best life for us. And when you put in it a new publication, well, you can look for, you can ask for it, because perhaps it has been put then before by the library, but it's not this the question. You can create this new publication, and in any case, you have to link to the edit button of the activity, and you can accept the deposit license. The deposit license is a general license that we use, that is very simple, that is about recognize the authorship, and then not allow the commercial use, and ask for to share alike in any other publication related. When you accept the deposit, you can add your file, your full text file, and the idea is to get the accepted manuscript, the postscript. The name of Sherpa, Romeo, and Dulcinea are different databases that you can consult to see how are the condition of the open deposit of works that any journal accept or not accept. We ask you to name the file with a meaningful words like surname, first words of the title and year, and you have to save the change. And in this line, we receive the notice about this, and we make anything about to complete the publication. Well, I have told to you that there are another useful platform or tools for you in this line, and I would like to show you what is the Madroño Consortium. Madroño, I don't know if you know very well about what is the word of Madroño. Madroño is a type of tree that is very typical in Madrid. If you go to the Puerta del Sol, you can see the main icon of Madrid, that is a beer and a tree. This tree is a Madroño. so for that, the regional consortium of the public university libraries of the region is named like Madroño. And Madroño has a special web and has created a special open science website that is called InvestigaM, like Research M from Madrid. Its mission is to disseminate the result of the research activity of member universities and include 3 different tools that are very useful for you. And we are going to see them. First of all, Madroño is going to help you to create a data management plan for your thesis. What is a data management plan, a DPM, a DMP? Basically, it's a document that describes the data management life cycle for the data to be collected, processed, and generated by your thesis. So it's a document when you are going to explain or describe what type of data are you using, how are you going to handle this research data during and after the end of the project, which methodology and standard will be applied, whether the data will be shared or made open access, and how the data will be curated and preserved, including after the end of the project. In this line, you have to think in terms of fair principles that you must to make your data findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. That is, it's something that has in this line. It has been defined by the first Horizonte in Europe, Horizon 2020, and it's going to be preserved along the new Horizon Europe, and it's more or less the mirror where any other research course is going to be defined. To create a data management plan in the year of 2014, the Consorcio Madroño developed a special tool that is DPM Online. We have created in Spanish, but really it's only a traduction of the DPM Online tool that has been developed by the Digital Curation Center in the United Kingdom. And we can give you some support material and video tutorial. By the moment, there are more than or near 800 plans that that have been made by this this platform. In our case, that we are going to speak in English, I'm going to show you the DMP online from the digital from United Kingdom directly, because we have another this exactly like this translated into Spanish, that you can get it in by the consortium. But if you want to use in the English way, but you have to go to the Digital Curation Center. I have put you the URL in the slide. So the tool helps you to develop a data management plan in a tutored manner, and it's very easy because the platform asks you for the main information that you need to make it. This is based in a template that has been created by the Digital Curation Center, and the last version was published in June of 2020. You have to put information about the data collection, what data will you collect or create, and how will the data be collected or created. About the documentation and metadata of this data, what type of documentation and metadata will accompany the data, and you have to explain it very, very detailed way. Everything about ethics and legal compliance. How will you manage any ethical use? How will you manage copyright and IPR uses? Everything about the storage and backup. How will the data be stored and backed up during the research? How will you manage access and security? Everything about selection and preservation, everything about data sharing, and everything about responsibility and resources. This is something perhaps in the first moment something very hard, because most of us we are working with data without any other previous reflection, and this is a good point of a start to think about how we have to work with data. And the idea is to get at the end of the project your data in a fair way, in the line that your data is going to be findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. This is the idea of this. It's very simple in the way of what is exactly the platform, but when you go to any question, the system asks you all the questions that you have to consider to provide, to give the useful content for it, the useful answer, and give you a concise but very complete guide to complete the corresponding part of the plan. It is something very, very tutoring way, and it's very useful for you, and it's a good thing. At the end of that, you can get a PDF with the document that is your data management plan, and you can send it with your project, or one of the documents of the project. There is another regional repository that is called e-Ciencia, and I have told you something before, that is a regional aggregator. It was created in 2007 and integrates the scientific production available of different institutional repositories from all the university members of the Consorcio, Madroño, but another relevant region research centers. For example, here are information for Universidad Complutense, that nowadays is not a member of the regional consortium, or about some parts of the National Center for Scientific Information, CSIC. In this moment includes more than 500,000 documents, and it's very, very complete. And you have to think that it's, in another hand, is a source for information, for scientific information of the region. And the last one, the last tool that offers Madroño in the Open Science website is e-CienciaDatos. e-CienciaDatos is a research data repository that has been created in 2016 by the Consortium that use an open source software that is called Dataverse, and is structured as a centralized system contributed by different communities that group the data set of each university, but we only include final data, not the data during the process of the project, only the final data when you end the research project. Nowadays, they have more than 500 data sets that includes more than 3,000 files. What gives you e-CienciaDatos if you place your thesis data there? Well, first of all, you will have your data in a trusted repository. You will get a DOI for each of your data sets, and even for each of your files. That is very useful for you, because the DOI that is a digital object identificator is a permanent link for them, and it's very useful. e-CienciaDatos is based on advice from libraries, complies every open air requirement. You can get some good statistics. You can see here the example about how many views have got this type of data set, how many downloads, and how many citations. And you can use geolocalization functionality in the line that in some type of data is very useful to have this geolocalization, that is an add value functionality that this repository gives you. And of course, allows you downloading the metadata in various formats compatible with main bibliographic managers to cite them correctly. Here you can see the site of this data. And if you put here inside dataset, you can export them in different type of format for cite. Well, I think that is very useful, and I advise you, or I recommend you to have a tour of this tool that is going to be very useful. And at last, our library offer you a blog that is aimed at researchers that is called Research and Library, and we try to put there some news about everything of research that it could be interesting for you, and it's very useful to know it and to have it in mind, and to use it to be online and on touch of everything about research, and especially everything about open science. What we are doing in the university in the line of general politics of open science. Well, we don't have any open access mandate. This is an open science self-assessment that had been carried out by Jerun in 2018. In this case, the 65% of the organization of Jerun has some type of open access or open science policy in place, but 24% no, and this is our case. But we have signed the Open Science Declaration of Madroño Consortium that it has been published in 2017. What are our situation, where we are? Well, here you can see some data about open access in UC3M. This is a general study or info about the open access in any university libraries of Spain that it has been carried out by review, that is the national aggregation of university libraries in Spain, that is part of the CRUE, that is the General Conference of Rectors. And we have the commitment to make it every year, to have more or less the picture of the general idea that what is happening about open access in any university libraries. In our case, this is the last study that we have done, that include from 2015 to 2019. We are going to publish the next result till 2020 in the next November, I think so. And this is only an approximation, because we don't have any way to know exactly how much, what are the publication of our university and in what ways has been published. We are this estimation or this approximation, we have made it asking to WOS and Scopus what are our publication in these different years, and using a special app that is called and paywall, that has been developing to search open access publication and trying to look for different lines of open access publication. In this line, we define different type of open access publication. We call gold publication when you publish an article or a paper in an open access journal. That it's some of them are a lot of open access journal, and in those moments they are arising a lot of platform of open access journals. This is what we call the gold way, that you can see in a yellow color. There is another way to publish in open access, that is using institutional repositories or thematic repositories. That is the green way, and we use the green color. And there are another two types, not so open, but two types of open access, more or less. That is, the first one is a bronze publication with that you can access them to read it, but you can't reuse it. So it's only open the reading, the access to the information, but you can reuse the information. And the other, and you can look it in a brown color, more or less. And the last one is a hybrid publication, that is a publication in a journal that offers the author to publish in open access through the payment of a special tax that they call APC, Article Processing Charge. Okay, this is a normal scientific journal, and it could be for any editor that usually publish in a closed way, and it's this is put in a more or less in a orange, more or less orange color. You can see the different lines of different types of open access, and you can see that the main line that are important are the green one and the gold one. You can see that the green one is going to be decreased in order that the gold line is going to be up. But we have to think that this the methodology that we use usually prioritize the gold line. But it's true that in this last year, the gold line is going to be perhaps the first way to do. If you can see only the information about what is open and what is not open, you can see that it is growing, it is increasing, and in this moment we are reaching more than the 60% of everything that we publish in open access. But we think that we have to push it up and to disseminate the culture of open science in our university, and for that we have created a special unit that is called UniOS, University Open Science, and it's you have to say to know that UniOS in Spanish means join us. It's an operational unit to support and to help open science at the university, and it's including staff and people from the library, from the research service, from the IT service, from the human resources services, and a group of researchers, including ECR, that are very aligned or very strong in the open science line. Our objective is to build together an open science policy, but in a bottom-up way, from the real experience of our research groups, and we try to make it happen. In this line, UniOS is the main tool to get it. In this line, we have created a special pilot project that is called FOSS, Full Open Science, and it's targeted to the research group of the university. We get some voluntary research teams that you have seen here, the list, that are 6 at total: the International Integration and Economic Growth, the Evolutionary Computation and Neural Networks, the Complex System Interdisciplinary Group, the Nonlinear Solid Mechanics, the History of University, and the Television, Cinema, Memory Representation, and History, TechMerin. The idea is that these 6 groups was being supported by UniOS, and the experience will lead us the next open science policy for the university. We have some results after 1 year. The idea is to define some indicators and objectives that try to describe what is a full open science research group. And we decide this type of information. We think that an open science research group must, all group members have ORCID code, all group members have their doctoral thesis in open access, and every doctoral thesis that has been directed by members of the group from the beginning of 2014 at the end of 2018 must also be open. The doctoral theses that are directed from now on from now on will also publish research data in open access, not only the thesis, but the research data too. We have defined that the 18% of the group publication from the beginning of 2014 to the end of 2018, and the 100% of the metadata must be in open access. As you can see, is the main or the most important indicator. Every publication in open access must be in our institutional repository, and the research data must be in open access whenever possible. Other indicators or objectives are the member of the group carry out citizen science activities where they involve non-professional researchers in their research. All the members of the group must receive training in open science. They must include in their all research proposal, especially in Horizon 2020 or Horizon Europe, an open science plan in their impact strategy. The group members must or could or should be participating in open peer review, for example, problems. They must spread their post. It's a good thing that they use collaborative tools like OSF, for example, and the group of some individual member of the group have added to particular open science statement on or initiative like DORA. I suppose that you have heard about what is DORA, and this is a good thing. This is a lot of indicators and objectives, and they are very different. Here you have an infographic information about this, about what has been the first pilot project. We have been working with 6 research groups. These are the name of the groups, and you have the link to the information about the groups and about the publication and metadata that they have. At the end of the project, we have get 639 open access publication and 167 datasets in an open access mode. That is, I think that are very good figures. The result is that we create different collection of each research group in our institutional repository, and you can get them and see every open access publication of this group. And you can see here the progress of the numbers. At the first time in November of 2019, you can see, for example, in the GIGS group that they have potentially 123 publications to be open, and in this moment they only have 64, and at the end of the project they get 113. So we get a lot of this. In this case, we have defined that every group has got the full open science medal or prize, except one of them that is in the entrepreneurship and strategy that they have no work at all about this. This has been a very, very useful experience for us, very useful, and we think that it has been very, very, very interesting. Well, this is everything that I would like to show you. We can open now a session of questions if you want, but before I want to advise you to improve your skills in open science, and to remember that we are going to publish very, very soon an open science website in our web, institutional web, and by the moment we have available this email contact, that is openscience@UC3M yes, and where you can direct or put any question on any need or anything that you want to share with us, or any thing that you need to our help. Everything you can think about open science. And I remember you that at 13 is going to be the last open cafe session that is going to be made by Sara Derrique about rewards and incentives for open science, responsible research assessment, and it's going to be very, very, very interesting. I remember you, the URL of the open science cafes that are very useful. Well, I'm going to leave the presentation, and I am here to answer any questions you can have. Yes, we try to say in our sorry. Here, Paola says, thank you so much, Teresa, so many services available. Yes, we try to cover any need about open science, and if you think in a new one, you can ask for it for us, and we try to make our best to do it. So we are completely at your service in this line. Hi Teresa, if you have any problem with the data plan, do you have any person in library for this kind of tab? Yes, sure. There are. We have more or less decentralized organization, and you can ask for any research support of any library. And in case of data plan, perhaps you can ask for Eva Ortiz. That is the person that is working more with data. In the line of data, you are going to need a lot of support, because if you want to make your data fair, you have to define and describe very detailed way your data. We are going to help you how you have to describe it, but you need to work a little with your data and with the information of your data to make it fair and to make it completely available. I have to say to you that I think you have heard that we are working in a European university project that is called UFE, and in this line there are another new project that complete this UFE project, that is UFERIN, and we are working in the line of create a FOSS for every university that is member of UFE, and it's going to be a new project that could be information. Hi Teresa, what is the proper time to create DMP during the full-time PhD period? Well, the idea is the idea of the DMP is to have more or less 3 period of time of the DMP. The first one, that is the first reflection that what type of data you use and how you are going to use during how you are going to manage them during the life of the thesis, of the project of the thesis. You can make an inform in a middle of the period, and you can make a last info about the final data. So the proper time to create a DMP is the first moment where you are going to work with data to make the first version of the DMP, because it's going to help you what type of things you have to think about the data at the beginning of your thesis. I advise you to begin with a first version of the DMP as soon as possible. Any other question? It's your moment. Very happy with the percent of open access publication as UC3M you talk about, 64%, I believe. What is the library plan to increase this percent? Well, the library plan is everything I have told you, the first project. We try to create a new call for research groups, perhaps in the next autumn, and at least we are going to work with 3 more, and perhaps more than 3, it depends on different things. And we are trying to work in this line, helping different researchers using their publishing their publication in open access. In this line, perhaps it's going to be some changes in the economic complement that the university have for the researchers, and in this line we try to include there's something about open access publication, and perhaps it will be a good incentive for every researcher. But I think that the main incentive is everything about the requirement of the funding agencies. That I think that becomes to be bigger and bigger in the different years. And I think, for example, Horizon Europe in this line will be a very good support, because they have put in a very, very first line everything about open access to publication, open access to data. And in this line, I think it's going to be the same in the national calls and in the regional calls. And I think that this is the most important thing. If you see the data that I show you, they are increasing the percentage of open access. That is strange, because, for example, it's more easy to have open access for an article that has been published 5 years ago, because there's no problem with embargo normal in this period. But you have get best data in the last year, because I think the strong role of the funding agencies. Do you think that that pre-registration is a procedure that could be included within the first step of the MP? I don't understand very well what you are thinking in pre-registration. If you could show me, perhaps I can answer better. Pre-registration is the data one is about to use. Well, yes, but I think that the first way to begin to work with data is to create a first version of DMP. You can change it during the process, and you can change it in the final step. But I think it's a good thing to begin with the first version, because the DMP itself is going to help you to think what kind of things you have to do to manage in a well manner your data. And in this line, I think that is very useful for you. The pre-registration of the data that you are going to use, I think it's better to think in a DMP format, because the DMP format is going to put you in the perspective of what you have to think when you are managing data that perhaps you haven't think before. Thank you for your presentation and your work to conclude the open science paradigm. An active library is essential in this process. Thank you for you. During my PhD period, should I send my publication to the library? It could be good. I think that is a very good thing if you can. As a student at the UC3M, I can deposit my thesis in eArchivo, but I'm not sure if I must do it also in any of the Madroño's option, or would it be possible to choose other possibilities or regional? I have told you that if you put your thesis in eArchivo, your thesis is going to be in e-Ciencia, that is the regional repository, is going to be in Recolecta, that is the national repository, and it's going to be in OpenAir repository, that is the European Union repository. So don't worry about it, because when you publish in eArchivo, everything is going in an automatic way. Any other question? I think the MP must contain the data collected and analyzed in addition to the data that came from the result of the research also. Is that right? Yes, is that right? But especially, yes, you have to describe what type of data are you going to collect and analyze, and what are the result of the research. But at the beginning, in the first, perhaps in the first version of the DMP, you can only answer about what type of data are you going to use, because and what type of data are you going to expect to have as result, because at this moment you don't know exactly what are going to be the result. But don't worry, because everything is more like a document that you explain a lot of things, and you can explain more concrete or more detailed way or more general way. Can I divide the whole DMP into several smaller ones? For me, my PhD research plan contains several topics. I plan to do one first, then other topics, and finally synthesize into a large doctoral thesis. Yes, of course, if you are going to work with different type of data, you can make a DMP for each type of data, because the type of data is going to define a lot of things about how you are going to manage the data. So it's no problem to have more than one DMP. How we can upload our paper to eArchivo? Well, you can see, I have put in the slides the link to the self-archive guide if you want, or to the email address of the team, where you can put an email and ask them about this, and say, I would like to, if you have some problems with everything, don't worry, you can ask for, I have this type of publication and I would like to publish it in an open access, what I have to do, and don't worry, they are going to help you and to answer you. Perhaps depends of the time. You have to wait some little time for it, because if we are in a moment that we have a lot of job, we have to tell you that you have to wait a little. But we are going to help you without no doubt. Any other question? Well, if you don't have any other question, it has been a pleasure to be with you. You have my email address if you want to make me any new question that now you are not having in mind, and every information in your slides. I remember you that at 13 is going to be the last open cafe, and I hope to see you then. Thank you very much, and I hope to be useful for you. Bye-bye.
Hola. Hello.
Hola, Eva.
Ah, ¿ya acabasteis? Es que
Hemos
justo-
acabado, sí.
Vale, había quitado el sonido. Voy a parar la grabación.
Vale.
Espera, a ver.